Bolstered by less severe than expected hurricane losses and strong investment income, reinsurers improved their capital positions in 2024. So much so that they were able to supply the market with additional property capacity to the point that it affected pricing heading into 2025. That according to a new AM Best commentary. I'm John Weber for AM Best TV. Joining us today is Associate Director Dan Hofmeister, one of the authors involved in that commentary. And Dan, can you summarize how some of the property reinsurance pricing factors came together as 2024 closed out and set the stage for the January renewals?
Hey, John, thanks. So the year started out with a rather pessimistic view of the upcoming hurricane season. And I think certainly the year started off looking like it might be an adverse one, very active storm year. And then as we progressed through the year, obviously Hurricanes Milton and Helene came into the mix and really put the industry on notice. However, those events ended up being a little less severe, at least initial indications seemed to be less severe than we initially thought they were going to be. But I think the key factor is no real strong impact from secondary perils, which is something that had plagued the industry in prior years.
Dan, what's the general outlook for casualty reserves?
Yeah, so definitely some concerns around casualty. There's been adverse development reported basically into 2024 and then a couple new ones at year-end 2024 as well. Social inflation continues to be a plague on the industry, really affecting both primary and reinsurers at this point. However, capacity is still there. We're hearing the deals closing without relatively much changes year over year, maybe some slight changes to ceding commissions, but overall still generally orderly renewals for the casualty sector. And that's really strong rate growth underlying that's leading to those issues kind of being alleviated at this point.
Do we have any sense of what impact the California wildfires may have on reinsurance pricing as we move through 2025?
Yeah, so at mid-year, probably not too much because most of the mid-year renewals are going to be Florida and that kind of southeastern U.S. focus. A lot of the information is still being gathered, but I think anytime that the industry gets hit with early losses, they're going to be a little more cautious with the way they deploy capital throughout the rest of the year. So there's a lot of a caution going into the rest of the renewals. We'll see how that plays out throughout the rest of the year. But we also have to see how this event turns out. There's a lot of factors into it, whether or not the losses, how they're going to develop, how the subjugation will go. So I think the industry's certainly taking a cautious approach at this point, but a lot to be gathered as the year progresses here.
Thanks, Dan.
Yeah, thank you.
That was Associate Director Dan Hofmeister. You can find the full commentary online at ambest.com. For AM Best TV, I'm John Weber.